Imagine a world gripped by relentless heat, where rising sea levels swallow coastlines and extreme weather events become the norm. This isn't a scene from a science fiction movie. It's the terrifying reality of runaway climate change. A scenario where Earth's systems spiral out of control, pushing our planet past the point of no return. Runaway climate change occurs when feedback loops within Earth's systems amplify the warming effect, leading to an unstoppable cycle of escalating temperatures. This phenomenon, once a distant threat, is rapidly becoming our reality, driven by our reliance on fossil fuels and unsustainable practices. The consequences of inaction are dire. We face mass extinctions, widespread displacement, and social unrest on an unprecedented scale. The time to act is now, to break free from our dependence on fossil fuels and embrace a sustainable future. We must understand the science, acknowledge the urgency, and demand immediate action from our leaders. The future of our planet and the well-being of generations to come hangs in the balance. The Earth's temperature is rising at an alarming rate. The last decade was the hottest on record, with 2020 tying 2016 as the warmest year globally. This warming trend is undeniable, driven primarily by human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels. The consequences of this warming are already being felt around the world. Extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, droughts, and heat waves, are becoming more frequent and intense. Sea levels are rising, threatening coastal communities and ecosystems. The Arctic is warming at twice the rate of the rest of the planet, causing glaciers and ice sheets to melt at an unprecedented rate. This melting ice contributes to rising sea levels and disrupts ocean currents, further exacerbating climate change. The scientific consensus is clear. Climate change is real, it's happening now, and it's caused by human activities. We are living in a climate emergency, and the time for action is running out. Feedback loops are processes that can either amplify or diminish the effects of climate change. Positive feedback loops, unfortunately, are playing a significant role in accelerating global warming. One example is the melting of ice and snow. As temperatures rise, ice and snow melt, revealing darker surfaces underneath. These darker surfaces absorb more heat from the sun, further increasing temperatures and melting more ice and snow. This creates a vicious cycle that amplifies warming. Another feedback loop involves forests. Forests act as carbon sinks, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. However, deforestation and wildfires, exacerbated by climate change, release this stored carbon back into the atmosphere, further contributing to warming. These feedback loops highlight the interconnectedness of Earth's systems and the potential for runaway climate change. As temperatures rise, these positive feedback loops become more pronounced, leading to a self-reinforcing cycle of warming. Understanding these feedback loops is crucial for developing effective climate policies and mitigating the worst effects of climate change. We must break these cycles to avoid catastrophic consequences. The polar regions, home to vast ice sheets and glaciers, are on the front lines of climate change. As temperatures rise, these frozen giants are melting at an alarming rate, contributing to rising sea levels and disrupting ocean currents. The Greenland ice sheet, the second largest in the world, is losing ice mass at an unprecedented rate. If the entire Greenland ice sheet were to melt, it would raise global sea levels by about 20 feet, inundating coastal cities and displacing millions of people. The Antarctic ice sheet, the largest on Earth, is also losing mass, albeit at a slower rate than Greenland. However, recent studies suggest that parts of the West Antarctic ice sheet may have already passed a tipping point, meaning their collapse is now inevitable. The melting of ice sheets and glaciers is a direct consequence of rising temperatures, and its impact on sea levels is a major concern. Coastal communities around the world are already experiencing more frequent and severe flooding, and the situation is only going to worsen as sea levels continue to rise. Section 5. Permafrost. The sleeping giant awakens. Permafrost, ground that remains frozen for 2 or more consecutive years, covers vast swaths of the Arctic. As temperatures rise, permafrost thaws, releasing stored organic matter as carbon dioxide and methane. This creates a positive feedback loop, accelerating climate change. Thawing permafrost could release enormous quantities of greenhouse gases. Section 6. Ocean acidification, a silent killer. The ocean acts as a massive carbon sink, absorbing about 30% of the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere. This leads to ocean acidification, forming carbonic acid and increasing ocean acidity. This acidification impacts marine life, making it difficult for organisms to form and maintain their shells. It is a silent killer, altering ocean chemistry and threatening marine life. Section 7. Tipping points. Cascades of Catastrophe. Tipping points, thresholds beyond which systems can change abruptly and irreversibly, are a major concern in the context of climate change. Crossing these tipping points could trigger cascading effects, leading to runaway climate change and catastrophic consequences. One example is the collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet. As mentioned earlier, parts of this ice sheet may have already passed a tipping point, meaning their collapse is now inevitable. This collapse would have devastating consequences for coastal communities around the world. Another tipping point involves the Amazon rainforest. The Amazon, often referred to as the lungs of the planet, plays a vital role in regulating global climate. However, deforestation and climate change are pushing the Amazon towards a tipping point, beyond which it could transition from a lush rainforest to a savanna-like ecosystem. Crossing these tipping points would have profound and irreversible impacts on the planet and its inhabitants. It is crucial that we act now to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and avoid crossing these critical thresholds. Section 8. Navigating the future. A time for action. The reality of runaway climate change is daunting, but it is not insurmountable. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the resources to avert the worst-case scenarios and create a sustainable future for all. The first and most crucial step is to rapidly transition away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and geothermal. This requires a fundamental shift in our energy systems, from production to consumption. We must also invest in energy efficiency measures to reduce our overall energy demand. This includes improving building insulation, developing more fuel-efficient vehicles, and adopting sustainable agricultural practices. Addressing deforestation and promoting reforestation efforts are critical for sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and preserving biodiversity. Protecting existing forests and planting new trees can make a significant contribution to mitigating climate change. Section 9. Choosing Hope. A Call to Arms. The challenge of climate change is immense, but it is not insurmountable. It demands a collective response of unprecedented scale and urgency. We must move beyond despair and embrace hope. Hope as a call to action, a belief in our ability to create a better future. Demand action from our leaders, holding them accountable. Make our voices heard, voting for climate action. Every individual has a role to play. By making conscious choices, we can inspire others. The future is not predetermined. Let us choose hope. Let us choose action.